Okay. Okay, it's recording. Fuck. You're gonna have to deal with the fan. Fucking whoever's watching it. But, like, okay. Cars. In the Cars universe. In the Cars universe, the characters are cars, which is a redundant statement, but, like, they're cars, right? So, there are different kinds of cars. There's race cars, there's tow trucks, there's fucking all that shit. Which means different cars have different abilities to them. Some cars are just faster than the others. This is a fact. Which means, in the Cars universe, racism is justified. Which. Did they not think about this? It's. Like, how can you make the concept of fucking cars, everyone's cars? They don't need to be cars in the first movie. Like, at all. But they are, and it raises way too many questions. Like, an electric car and, like, a gas car, they're inherently different in, like, key ways. And, like, it goes deeper to, like, car race war between, like, electric cars and gas cars makes sense because the electric cars want to get rid of all of the gas cars. It's literally genocide. It's like, do they not realize this? And, like, and fucking, like, a fucking Volks, like a shitty beat down truck or some shit is way slower than a fucking race car, and, like, they can't change that. It's an inherent difference. So if that race car wants to be, like, racist and be like a fucking truck, tow boy, would that be what would slurs be in the Cars universe? I'm like, what would they be? I don't know, but they would exist because racism would exist and therefore be justified. It also depends on when the cars become cars. Like, is it all of human is it all of car history? Sorry, they're cars. My current working theory is that the humans turned into the cars, but, like, which doesn't make sense because why would they choose to be different cars? And it's like, did they become their profession? Are cars ageless beings? Either way, racism still. You think a racist person who turns into a car that's faster than, like, a person who was a minority, do you think they're not gonna be, like, racist? And, like, race realism is right in the Cars universe. I don't get this, but, like, they made this a thing. They chose to actively make this the state of the world in the movie. They didn't need to, but they did. And it's like, these cars, racism is allowed and we don't know if it's allowed, but it's justified. I don't see how anyone can have a problem with it, because then they're literally stating facts if they say a certain car is inferior, because some cars are just inferior. Do they not realize this? Did they not realize that this was a thing that was happening when they were making this movie, when they were drawing the storyboards? Did they not think, like, hey, this is fucking weird, right? It's insane. And, like, car racism in the Cars universe implies that there are other facets to this car racism. Like, car segregation has to be a thing, right? Like, car civil rights movements would have to exist for, like, different types of cars. They would have to go into different sections of the gas. Are gas stations restaurants in the Cars universe? They are, right? That happened in, like, the first movie or some shit. I haven't watched them in a while, but it's like, I need to watch them or something to, like, get clarity. But I won't get any clarity because they were not answering these questions in the course of making this movie. They raised, like, 100 why do I have so many Discord pages? Fucking hell. They literally fucking raised so many questions and they didn't intend to answer them. Did they not think about this? The cars, they have tongues, they have sentience. But they're still cars. You can't remove that. It's just not like, it's not just humans with a different coat of paint. The second movie is literally, the entire plot is, like, assassinations because with a specific to cars. You can't remotely blow up humans because of what blood they've injected into them. No. Or what food they eat, I guess, is a better metaphor, sort of. like, if a car gets cut, like what are doctors in the Cars universe? Okay, I'm off topic. Getting back to racism, segregation in the Cars universe. How the fuck does it work? Like, do they go into different garages? Is there like, does redlining exist in the Cars universe? Does it? I need to know this. I'm way too attached to this. I need to know. But like, if I had a opportunity to go back in time, I'd go to the creation and whoever thought of like the idea to make the characters cars, I'd go and ask him, okay, but what about racism? He'd be very confused, but it'd satisfy a demon lurking within my soul that demands answers for fucking Cars lore. But like, car civil rights movement, it happened probably. We can assume that much because there are older cars from before the civil rights movement, which means those times existed, which means World War II happened, which means the Cold War at least started. We don't know when they became cars, but like at a certain point they would have to. Right? When did they become cars? Was it always the state of this world? Like, how does that work, ever? Does evolution not exist? If they're always cars from the beginning of time, then that implies that there's a god in the car universe. And then, like, fucking Jesus Chrysler, Jeepsis Chrysler, whatever the fuck. Like, Car Jesus would also exist because God exists. Or is it not the same God as the Christian God? Is it not the Abrahamic God? Is the car universe a pantheon? A paganistic pantheon? If ancient cars existed, did they have, was Zeus a car in the Cars universe? Like, I don't know what they. Racism in the Cars universe exists. It has to exist. Racism exists now. It's not gonna go away when they're cars. Like, do wars have to happen? Do nations exist in the Cars universe? Are borders a thing? That would have to be. Like, road checkpoints would still exist, so like borders would probably exist. Like, how does this society function if they are all cars? It doesn't make sense. Are there car governments? There are car like spy organizations, but no government officials? Is there a car CIA that like stops car revolutions in Car Central America? Like, you have to preface everything with car because everything's cars. I'm saying cars so much, I'm feeling I'm losing my mind, but like, fucking, it makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. I'm gonna sob and laugh and cry, and two of those are the same thing, but like, if a car model, like, is outdated enough, is that car model going extinct? Is that an endangered species of car? Is that what it is? Pixar? That's right, that's who made this. Fucking, I forget Pixar made this fucking franchise because it's cars. Like, it's fucking cars. There's no other way to describe it except that it's cars. Does, like, car racism exists. We've established that. We've established that car segregation is possibly a thing that happened. It depends on when they were made cars, but with the existence of like certain characters, it implies that they became cars before the 60s, and therefore in the 60s, the civil rights movement was carried out, but they're all cars, which doesn't make much sense because like, that you wouldn't be able to differentiate by skin color anymore. Would cars racism be by like paint coat color, or like, I imagine it would be like the brand of car and the model, but are different models of car in like the same like brand like generations? Like, are there boomer cars and Gen Z cars, but like they're both fucking like Toyotas? Is that how it works? How does car age work? How do they age? Because like in the third movie, it's about Lightning McQueen being old, but how is he old? Do they just run out of maintenance? Do they not care? Do older car models just die out every few years and no one questions this? Is this an accepted fact that genocide regularly? Because, like, if they're specifically refusing to repair the older car models, that's genocide. That's sterilization, basically. And, like, how are the babies made? It makes no sense. Okay, TLDR, car racism is a thing in the Cars universe. That confuses me. Fuck, man.